Okay.
Just talk.
Okay, so who do you like from the Atlantic going into the playoffs?
Honestly, I just like Montreal. That to me, it's the easy choice. They're only gonna get healthier. I don't see anyone from the Atlantic passing them. I think Florida's a mirage right now. They're a good team, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's sustainable.
No? I don't. Well, obviously, if Montreal gets Price back, I think they're definitely the favorite. But right now, I'm liking Florida just because they've been able to pick up so many wins in a row. You look at their last 10, they're 8-2-0, and they've won 7 straight. So
That's true. That's what I mean. I don't think that's sustainable.
I know, but they're pretty inexperienced. So I think when you're inexperienced and you gain wins like this, then you build on that and you stay consistent.
That's true.
Yeah.
So neither of us are giving Boston a chance to win the Atlantic.
I don't like Boston's chances, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think the Atlantic is just so weak right now that Boston looks decent.
Yeah. Look at their away record.
Yeah.
11-3-2.
Yeah.
That's unsustainable.
What about the Metropolitan?
Metropolitan, I think that's pretty much a wash.
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, it's definitely a Washington. I'm really surprised with the Rangers though. Going in.
That I did not expect. You expect the Islanders to be up there. You expect the Rangers to be a top 3 in there as well.
Pittsburgh should be in there, but they're not.
I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah, I know, but they should be in there instead of the
should.
Islanders. Yeah, they should be. That's what's expected of them. But I like Washington for sure right now. They have the biggest lead in that division.
Washington, I like. Do you think New Jersey sneaks into the playoffs?
Based on the way that everything's going on right now in the East, I think they should be able to sneak in. Yeah. They're pretty consistent in terms of how they play versus the other teams. Like for example, Ottawa's really up and down.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey's all basically been there all year.
That's true. Yeah, they low key have been there.
Yeah.
All year. So we're just counting Tampa Bay out of the playoffs.
I hate to say it, but things need to change there. I don't know what it is. It's just like Anaheim. Like you just don't know what the issue is. Like you expect more from them. Sometimes it's just going to the finals. You have a hangover.
That's true.
Yeah.
We've seen that before. Carolina, Edmonton.
Yeah, Ottawa. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So what about Pittsburgh? What do you do in the off season if you miss the playoffs?
Oh man, that's tough. You know, we talked about it before.
Yeah.
Whether you move Crosby or Malkin. I don't know if the ownership has the guts to do it. I know they're for sale.
And I think that they need to move Malkin, but I don't know if anyone has the guts to do that in that organization. Such a move. I mean, the NHL, you look at it, you don't have blockbuster deals anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do that, but I think in the best interest of the team, you should move Malkin.
So you'd rather move Malkin than Crosby? Or are you just talking in terms of?
I just think that when you think about the Penguins, you think about Crosby first, then you think about Malkin.
That's true.
So Crosby's the face of the franchise. You don't trade him, I think, because his value is too sentimental to the team.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think Malkin's a bigger offensive threat if you come down to it in terms of skill and so forth. But I think just Crosby has more drive, and that's what's going to help you in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about this? What do you think Tampa Bay does with Stamkos? Clearly, something's not working in there this year.
I think from what I've seen, obviously with liking the tweet and so forth, and then he comes out and says he wants to stay in Tampa Bay. I think he's just coming out to say that.
Yeah, you have to say that.
Because he has to say it. I think Tampa Bay has a good shot at re-signing him, but at this point, I say it's 50-50 between him and Toronto. I don't see him signing anywhere else outside of Toronto or Tampa Bay. But if I were him and it came down to the money, I would probably go with Tampa Bay in terms of money and in terms of winning, because they went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Toronto is nowhere near that right now in terms of where they're rebuilding. And if he signs in Florida, taxes are less there. So
in terms of money, though, you're saying he wouldn't get paid as much there because remember they still have to pay headmen.
Yeah,
the triplets are coming up soon.
Yeah, but That's true, but taxes are less there. So if, for example, Tampa Bay offers him 10.5 million,
Mm-hmm.
Toronto's gonna offer him 12 million. You have to see where the differences are there.
But you gotta also see, would you rather be the third highest paid player in the league, or would you rather be closer to first?
Well, that just comes down to
That's
an ego
just
thing. That just
more
depends.
ego,
That just
exactly.
depends on the player himself. But I'm saying if I was Steven Stamkos, I'm resigning in Tampa Bay if I want to win now.
That's true. But you
If
don't know what
if
he
I
wants
want to win now, if you want to win in 5 years, which you don't necessarily want to start predicting because you don't know with injuries and so forth, then you go to Toronto maybe.
But you're you're Steven Stamkos. You look at it, they just re-signed their coach,
Yeah.
John Cooper.
Okay.
You gotta believe there's some kind of rift between Stamkos and John Cooper.
I don't think there's obviously there's I guess a rift in terms of Stamkos wanting to play center and Cooper playing him on the wing. Yeah, I agree.
Second line wing.
Okay, second line. See that's what happens. Coaches just put you lower in the lineup if you're not producing. And to be honest, right now he's not producing.
Oh, but
and
what was the excuse last year?
okay, yeah,
He's a 60-goal scorer.
yeah. And no, I completely see what you're saying. But last year there's no excuse. The team was doing really well. Maybe now you could argue, okay, why am I still on the wing if the team's struggling trying to get center?
That's what.
But if he's going to Toronto, you have to realize who the head coach is there. And no one says Babcock's gonna want to put him on center. No one's gonna listen to Stamkos. You think Babcock's gonna let Stamkos run him? No, I don't see that
No,
happening.
he's not gonna let him run him, but I think Babcock will manage Stamkos better. He'll play him to his strengths.
Yeah,
He'll play
exactly.
him to his weaknesses. Obviously,
Exactly, but maybe Babcock thinks Stamkos' strengths are on the wing as well. You don't know. I don't think John Cooper is stupid.
I don't think he's actually like him as a coach. I think he's a very good coach.
I think the way Stamkos plays is I think he should be a winger because he's a sniper. Usually your center you want him to be a two-way player who can also set other players up. So if you look on that team, who are those guys? Filppula and what's his name? Tyler Johnson.
Then let's take a look at Ovechkin. For example.
Exactly.
Offensive, also 60-goal scorer.
Yeah, he winger.
But what I'm saying is, once there's a change in coach,
Yeah.
let's look at it before. Stamkos, 60-goal scorer. Now look at the difference. He's second line winger. I know I'm not saying the coach has taken away from his ability, but if you get a new scene, new coach, kind of like what happened to Ovechkin. It's not a new scene, but you bring in Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
He's now a two-way player.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think there's something to be said about who's coaching.
But that's what I'm saying as well. Maybe Cooper doesn't see Stamkos as a good enough two-way player right now to be playing center.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you right now, Filppula and Tyler Johnson are better two-way players.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. But do you agree with the fact that, say, one of the triplets gets injured, Stamkos still on the second line?
Well, that's true. I mean, Johnson and Palat were out for a while. Yeah. I think the whole second line thing is definitely just due to a lack of production. But the triplets last year, when they're healthy and they're clicking, that's their top line. You can't.
No, you're right. You
just
can't argue with that. But I just can't see any scenario where you don't promote Stamkos to the top line, regardless of production.
Right now, I agree with you. He should be on the top line. But that's for them to decide. I don't know. I see what you're saying. Things I think can go really sour there, or it can go well. I think right now it's like on the brink of either or.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, let's move on to the Western Conference here.
Okay.
Central Division. Yeah. That's probably the best division in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been.
Yeah, that's always I think the top division. Yeah.
Like
the Central.
Are you surprised to see Dallas up there?
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I know last year they didn't make the playoffs. This year they're obviously a lot better, I think. So that comes in, they bring in on the back end Johnny Oduya, so that'll help them. It stabilizes it. Time. Yeah, and then Sharp comes in. I mean, he's a forward, but he's a two-way player.
Two-way player, yeah.
And both of those guys won, so they know they can teach the guys in the locker room, what to do, how to play. And then they also bring in Niemi, so I think that kind of like allows Lettinen to ease in. Usually when you bring in another goalie, it forces goalies to go out of their mindset, but they've played with each other before in Finland, so
yeah, that's very
I think
true.
they help each other out.
It's just crazy to think they have eight regulation losses. How many of those have come to teams that they could have easily beaten?
That's the main concern for me. I think it's like if you're losing to those bad teams, what if you hit a rut and you go into the playoffs and you start losing like St. Louis has been doing in the past? I can see Dallas as being the San Jose of the previous years, just a huge offensive threat, and then you end up choking in the playoffs.
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah,
I was thinking more they're going to be the St. Louis of past, not in terms of the way they play, but in terms of, this is the team that keeps making the playoffs, top 3 positioning always, and it gets ousted right away. It doesn't matter who they play. What do you think of the Pacific? It's kind of a joke.
This division. I don't know. This division, I don't know what's worse, the Atlantic or the Pacific right now.
I mean,
if you look at it, I mean, Los Angeles is definitely the favorite there.
Yeah.
I think, and then with the other teams, it's just hit or miss. You don't know what's gonna happen at any given point.
It's really coming down to a coin flip. I mean, I remember in the preseason, I was saying, you're gonna have Anaheim up top, LA second, and Calgary third, just based on
exactly. I agree with you.
What happened there? Now, all of a sudden, 2 losses in a row, Calgary jumps from playoff position to second last in the West.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't know what to say about that division. All I know is that none of the teams are getting a wild card spot. It's just gonna be 3 teams, and then from the Pacific, and they're going in. I mean, it's hard to judge based on where the standings are, but if I was to pick who's going in right now, it's obviously Los Angeles first.
Yeah, that's not gonna change.
And then I think Anaheim finds a way to grind through.
They have to. I
mean, they've had a really, really bad run here, but they're at 36 points, and then San Jose's at 38. So San Jose's in the 3rd position in the Pacific, so that means they're in the playoffs, and Anaheim's only 2 points behind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Anaheim makes it in, and for me, they've been really bad, but I think they go in.
I think Anaheim makes it in. Just look at how Gibson has been playing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why he was in the minors to start the year, to be honest with you. I don't think that's the main reason, because they just flat out can't score. 68 goals on the year.
Yeah.
That is by far, it looks like the least. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah, they can't score. Obviously, you want your big boys to score. You need Getzlaf and Perry going if you get those goals, right? But I don't know. They need to find a winger. I mean, if you get near the trade deadline and you see Vancouver, maybe they're not there anymore, like they are right now.
Yeah, I don't think
Verbata's has 1 year left, so he's becoming a UFA this summer. I think they should take a run at him. He's a scoring winger. You could probably play with Perry and Getzlaf.
Yeah, I can see that actually. It just something needs to change in Anaheim. I don't think it's the coach.
It's not the coach, but I think they're gonna have to.
There has to be a scapegoat always.
You can't trade 23 guys, but you can move one guy out that runs the ship. So I think that's one move they should probably consider. I like Boudreaux, but I don't know. I guess it's just not cutting it there right now. Maybe they're not listening to him. I don't know. So you either need to move the coach or move the main guys that aren't doing anything, and you can't move Getzlaf and Perry right now.
I agree. Who's gonna get the first overall pick?
Well, with the new format, it's a coin flip, but if you're asking in terms of who comes in last, I think it's Columbus.
You think Columbus remains in last?
Yeah.
I mean, they get Bobrovsky back. They have literally been in last the whole year. Pretty sure about it.
Yeah.
Toronto had the week off. They didn't even fall to 30th.
Exactly. But I've said it from the beginning of the year. Columbus's defense cannot compete.
No.
In the Western, not in the Western Conference. In the entire league, they can't compete. And I think where it all starts from is last year they traded James Wisniewski at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I didn't
for William Karlsson, Rene Bourque, and I think it was maybe they exchanged second rounders with Anaheim. I do not understand what that move was for. You basically ended up trading a top 4 defenseman for a prospect. A center prospect in Karlsson, which they have a bunch of.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need, they don't need any forward prospects. I mean, you have Wenberg, you have Reichel, you have a whole bunch of guys. They had Dano, which they shipped out. They just have a bunch of guys. I don't see the point of that trade at all. So that just put them in a hole. And so basically outside of Jack Johnson and Savard, like, who do you have on that back end?
You really have no one there.
And I think Johnson's overrated.
At this point, before it looked like Johnson kind of matched Doughty's skill set.
Yeah.
Not really in terms of physicality, but, he was mentioned up there.
Like, you'd think he was like a powerhouse defenseman, but...
He was a household name.
I think he was like Phaneuf, like how Phaneuf was really good before and then he just slipped.
I agree.
I think it's the same case, except his contract isn't as bad. It's a decent contract.
I agree with you on that.
For what he provides, yeah. So, if you're Columbus, what do you do going into the off season?
If I'm Columbus, I gotta sit back. First of all, I gotta sit there and look at my coach. I don't know if that's just my hatred towards John Tortorella. I really never understood that move. You understand the move to fire the coach. You gotta do something.
Yeah.
When you start 0-7. I don't know, man. They know what they have to do, and at this rate, if they're gonna pick sides with John Tortorella, you can't keep Ryan Johansson on
exactly.
Sub. You gotta ship him out for a defenseman. You're gonna think.
If I was Columbus, I mean, if you bring in a new GM, then you can fire Tortorella because the GM can say he's not my guy.
Yeah.
And you can make amends with Johansson.
Yeah.
And then if you come in last and maybe get the first overall pick, there you go. You have Austin Matthews. Good night, Jim Kite. You have your 2 top line centers right there, and you're good to go. But I mean, if they're sticking with the same GM, the GM can't fire the coach, because if he fires the coach, then ownership's gonna be like, okay, do you even know what you're doing? You bought him in this year. You offered a multi-year contract. So I think what happens is, I mean, I think Tortorella is a guy they should have signed for a year, but obviously he wouldn't have opted out of his contract in Vancouver.
I guarantee you.
Yeah. So I don't know, if I'm Columbus and I stay with the same management group, then Tortorella's back and I trade Johansson in the summer. I think you can get more value for him in the summer because people will forget how bad of a season he had, and teams in the summer might be more flexible around the cap.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely play around in the summer, because then you'll have time before training camp to adjust your roster. I think trading Johansson is a draft after draft move. Yeah, like maybe when Sagan trade happened right after the draft. But that's a scary thing. You trade him. It's like, what if you're trading Sagan?
This is gonna be you're trading Sagan. I full on agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You knew Sagan had the potential. You just saw it in the way he played, but you didn't expect him and Ben to be leading the league. Pretty much back-to-back years now. Like, you just know they're dominating everything. What do you think of Winnipeg?
That team.
What happened there?
What happened there? I think the GM's too passive, and he does not make enough moves. No. I'll tell you right now, they're not making the playoffs. No. They have 36 points. Anaheim has 36 points. We discussed that earlier. Anaheim could make it, but Winnipeg on paper is nowhere near as good as Anaheim. No. I think they're in a worse position now. They're not gonna make the playoffs, and then you have Bufflin and Ladd to resign,
which
and Trouba. So you have rights over Trouba since he's an RFA, but those 2 other guys are UFAs, and I can tell you right now, both of them aren't coming back. I think Ladd's coming back. I don't think Bufflin is. Yeah,
it's tough to see Bufflin coming back. I don't think he's going to be back in a Jets uniform. I agree with that. Ladd, I can see re-signing there.
Yeah, I can see him taking a hometown discount to stay there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But the scary thing for me with Andrew Ladd is how long, or even Bufflin too, if you're in Winnipeg and you're looking at re-signing these guys, for example, if Bufflin tells me he wants 8 years, I'm not going there.
No, I'm not signing Bufflin for 8 years.
He's too much of an enigma for me to say 8 years, because you don't know, with that whole weight issue, you don't know if he's coming to camp at 350 or at 275. You don't know what's going on.
That's true.
And same thing with Ladd. I would not go 8 years there. Maximum I'd go with Ladd is 6 years.
Yeah.
and as just being nice, it's like, hey, you've done a lot for us here 6 years. My optimal choice would be to sign him to 4, but that's not gonna happen.
No,
if you want him back.
Not in these.
Yeah.
Not in this day and age.
But Bufflin, he's the type of player that I would desperately try not to sign over 3 years. If I sign him to 8 years, you just know that you're gonna get him for maybe 1 to 3 years, and after that, you're just there. He's just there, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think if they're in a bad position by the trade deadline, I'm predicting them to miss the playoffs. I think if they're completely out of it by the trade deadline, you trade Bufflin and you see what's up with Ladd. Maybe Ladd isn't re-signed by then. You trade him and then you re-sign him July 1st. I don't know. But you have to get assets back for these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's desperately what Winnipeg needs. Mainly what they need is goaltending. I think it's
100%. Yeah,
carousel they have going.
That's their main. Well, I think that's the only reason they're not in a playoff spot right now.
That's the only reason. Yeah, I like the defense core there. Forward group is underrated in my opinion. It's just the goaltending. Pavlik's not working. Hutchison was working last year, but you can only take that so far. What's their new goalie now?
Hellebuck? Yeah. He's good, but I don't think he's a starter right now.
He's not the answer.
I think he can be their backup next year. I think you move Hutchinson and Pavlik.
Yeah.
I think, for example, I could take a look at a trade scenario possibly is trading Bufflin to Anaheim for maybe Bufflin and assets to Anaheim for Freddie Anderson and assets.
That would be, you know what, that's actually, I'm glad you brought up Anderson. I was just going to say, I think that's someone you have to move.
If you're Anaheim, I agree.
I've full on half thought John Gibson should be the starter there, but it's tough when you have two goalies like that.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Fernandez and Rolston.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day. Yeah.
Right. So I was really shocked when Gibson was sent to the minors, maybe just for playing time. I think Anderson gets moved.
Well, right now, based on what they're showing right now, I agree with you. I mean, Anderson hasn't played bad at all, but it's just Gibson. It's just Gibson. I think he's too good to play in the minors, and you don't want to affect his development and have him sitting on the bench.
No, for sure.
So I think with Gibson is you give him starter minutes, but you have a guy behind him as a backup who can hey, I can help you out. So you can probably find that in free agency July 1st, like a guy like James Reimer maybe.
I agree with you, yeah. And you know what? Even look at Halak and Carey Price when they were both on Montreal.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't know who they're going to pick. You just know either goalie is going to pan out for Anaheim.
Yeah.
You know, they should be happy with their goaltending situation, which is tough when
it's definitely a good problem.
Yeah, but that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. So and if Bufflin gets moved to, for example, Anaheim, I think that automatically makes them a bigger contender.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if they're in a playoff spot. But I don't know. I can see Bufflin going to pretty much 29 other teams and fitting in just because he's a top 4 defenseman or a top 2 defenseman, and every team needs that.
That's true. I agree with you on that one. What I'd like to see as a Flames fan is Gibson or Anderson coming over to Calgary.
I mean, that would definitely be great for the Flames. They obviously need a number 1 guy, but that's gonna be hard to make a trade within the division.
No, for sure.
That's not happening. Yeah, I mean, who's a guy that you could target probably, and if you're the Flames,
who I have always said I'd take a chance on is Cam Ward.
Yeah,
Carolina.
I agree with you.
Like that for
he's an Alberta
over
boy.
2 years. Yeah, exactly, Alberta boy. I've been saying that. You've been saying that for over 2 years now.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, even move. What I'd even do right now is I'd move for Bernier. I would actually make a move on Bernier.
You trade for Bernier?
I would trade for Bernier. Obviously, we know the speculation. Brian Burke. Was there. You know, I would make the move. Like, we can move over Hiller. I think Hiller would be a great trade over for Bernier. It's both on expiring.
Well, Bernier has another year.
He's got the other year.
Toronto frees up Hiller.
Because you know Toronto's moving more in that direction. You know Bernier is playing better now. He's playing exceptionally better.
He is, and I think he has the Calgary defense is starting to do better. I mean, on paper, the Calgary defense is a lot better than Toronto's. And the issue at the beginning of the year with Bernier was he wasn't getting help.
That's true.
So I think if he gets a start maybe in a Flames uniform he could rekindle his career, but I don't see him being that guy. He hasn't shown me being that guy that can play 60, 65 games and lead you in the playoffs.
You know, it's funny. You think back, what was it, 4 years ago? They were calling for him to usurp Jonathan Quick in net.
Yeah,
in LA.
I know.
That was before they won the cup. Man, how times have changed.
He was a first round pick, so you definitely know the potential is there, but once you hit 27, it's not about potential anymore.
It's not potential anymore, no.
Yeah, it's
a lot deeper.
Now 27 is, you're almost running, for goalies 27 is like when you're getting into your potential, but for players I'd say 27 is like, okay, you've already been through your good years.
Yeah.
It's not like before where you're 27, that's when you're hitting your prime.
But it's funny, I agree with you, and I think 27 is when you're not developing against, more like we know what you are at this point.
Exactly.
But I do see there's a little more in Bernier that we haven't seen yet. I think he can be a number one. I don't know why I'm holding on to that, but I maintain that.
I think he can be a number one on a team that is really stingy defensively.
I agree.
But I think you can put anyone in those situations and have a good team. To be honest with you can put him anywhere that has a stingy defense core and can score a couple of goals, and you'll look like a good goalie. So it's hard to say. I mean, you look at Chicago one year, I think Ray Emery was backing up, and I think he only lost one game, and he probably won 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Ray Emery's on an AHL contract right now, and he probably can't even crack the Marlies.
That's true. I forgot about that.
So I think any goalie can look great in front of a good defense core. I just don't see Bernier being... It's not because I don't think he has a skill set. I think he's a very skilled goalie. He is. I just think he's too injury prone, so I don't know. He can't handle the load for 65 games and be healthy the whole time and give you 100%.
That's a good point.
So I just don't see... If I'm Calgary, I mean, Ward's been there. I take a look at Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather Ward over Bernier, but that's something I think you need to explore in the summer. Maybe you can explore it now if Carolina's out of the playoffs. I mean, they still have a shot right now, but...
I mean, you look at the whole league, everyone
has a shot except probably, I'd say, Columbus.
Probably Columbus, yeah. That's pretty much insurmountable. They do get Bobrovsky back. That's big. I think Bobrovsky is a great goalie. He just has no one playing.
He is, but it's not enough to get back in the league.
Yeah, he has no one in front of him.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the interesting things for me is you look at Nashville. They look so good. Last year they missed the playoffs. The year before, last year they make it. And then this year, they're kind of they're in the last wild card spot, but they've been playing well. They haven't been playing well.
Yeah, very very on and
off. What do you think they need to get over that hump?
They need more offense. This is a very defensive focused group.
Very defense heavy.
It's you need at least another top 6 forward.
I completely agree with you there. I mean, if you look around the league, they need a top 6 forward, but more importantly, they need a center.
Yeah.
Center, but see, the issue here is, where do you get that number 1 center? I mean, they don't have them floating around. I mean, they have. Do you bite on Johansson? I mean, he's available.
I would take a bite at Johansson.
I mean, there's a Johansson out there, and there's a Eric Stahl. I think Eric Stahl could be made available.
That's true. Yeah, Eric Stahl, I believe so.
I think the price for Eric Stahl would be less, and he would bring you experience if you're going on a playoff run. But they have the assets to get a Johansson, and they have what Columbus needs, which is defense.
Exactly what they need.
So I'm going for Johansson if I'm trading for a top center, especially with a team like that. Johansson has more skill than Eric Stahl. With all due respect to Eric Stahl.
Oh, for sure. Especially think of the role they need. They've got the rough grit in their roster already. I think Eric Stahl just brings more of it at this point in his career. I think Ryan Johansson is exactly what they need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Eric Stahl, to me, at this point of his career, is more of a two-way center. And Nashville has enough of those.
Yeah.
So if I'm going for a guy and a guy that's available, it's Johansson. I mean, you're not getting a playmaking center from any other team.
Do you trade Shea Weber for a number one center?
I think here's the logistics that would go behind it. If I'm Nashville, I've paid the bulk of his contract already. I mean, contract was pretty front loaded.
Yeah.
So it's like I've paid all that money already. It's like, do I really want to get rid of him? But a part of me says he's like one of the older guys on the defense there, and then they have Yossi.
Yeah, Yossi.
They have Yossi. They have Jones. And they have Ekholm coming up. They have Ellis. I mean, that's a really good defense group. It's hard to trade Shea Weber, but I think, to me anyways, I think number one center gets them over the hump. And if they trade him, I mean, if that's what you have to get to trade it, to get a number one center, I think you trade Weber.
I think I do kind of agree with you there. I just think it's hard. Like, we look back at the Crosby situation. This is their face of
exactly. That's what I agree with you from that.
He's been the guy.
I agree with you from that sense. It's a tough position. I mean, do you trade Weber? You say he's like Crosby. Well, the next guy behind him is Roman Yossi. I guess Yossi's kind of like the Malkin.
Yeah.
But Yossi's younger than Weber, and he has a smaller cap hit. That's
true, but have you seen enough from Yossi to be convinced that this is what you get?
Well, when they, I don't know if I've seen it. I don't think I've seen enough. But if I'm David Poile, maybe I've seen enough because he offered him that 7-year contract extension. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago? And everyone was saying, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?"
We're thinking, what?
We're like, this is why the league is such a disaster. But I mean, I think. The one thing that scares me about Yossi is, does he do that well because he's playing with Shea Weber?
That's the thing.
That's one thing, but so I saw him playing in the Olympics for Switzerland. He did really well there. I think he can keep up with it. I don't know. It's definitely a hard thing to look at. I mean, what it comes down to is, can Jones be that horse? If Jones can be a top 2 D-man, then I think then you can get rid of Weber. You can afford that.
I agree with you. But, you know, in this day and age, it's very hard to make superstar trades.
Exactly. I think
that doesn't happen.
I think this is, if they don't get Stahl, they can get Stahl this year. If they don't get Stahl, they can. This is a trade probably they explore next year. Yeah. They see where Yossi goes. They see where Jones goes, and if all is good, then I think you can move past Weber.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And